Have you ever wanted to paint one of those cool watercolor pictures you see on Pinterest? As someone who's taken drawing and painting in high school and enjoys watercolor, I would like to share this watercolor art with others. To do this, you must obtain all the right materials. To even begin, you must obtain the right materials. Without the correct materials, your painting might not come out as you would hope. To successfully paint with watercolors, the three main things are to decide what you are painting, to prepare your materials, and finally, paint your picture. My first main point is you must decide what you are painting. This does not necessarily mean that you must come up on the top of your head of what you would like to paint. This means you can look on any search engine and to find what inspires you and you would like to base your painting off of. Another tip is to consider the skill level. If beginning, you'll obviously want to look up beginner skill level. As someone who is not that great with watercolor, I still continue to look under beginner inspiration. For this demonstration, I'll be showing how to paint koi fish in a koi pond. I have personally painted this and feel as though this is a relatively easy painting and a good example. Now that we have chosen what we are going to paint, we must gather our materials. My second main point is to gather materials you will need to produce the painting. As stated by Betty Denton, to successfully paint with watercolor, the three main things are to decide what you're painting, prepare your materials, and to paint the picture. Since we have now decided what we are painting, we now must prepare materials. The materials needed to paint are paints, paper, and brushes. First of all, you must choose the right colors. For the demonstration, we will need red and two different hues of blue. Next, you must obtain the right brushes. The size and the shape of brushes you use will matter once higher level, but this paint brush I use is the type that comes with Crayola watercolor packs. Lastly, you must choose the right paper. Obviously, if you're painting with watercolor is the best paper. According to Strathmore, copy paper isn't made the same way watercolor paper is and results in buckled, wavy wash. I hope these tips help you understand the materials you will need for this painting. Now that you have chosen the paint and gathered materials, you can start to paint. To begin, you must tape your watercolor paper to a hard surface, which I have already done here. Doing this helps your paper stay flat and not kind of like crinkle up when it gets wet. Now you must first sketch and outline two koi onto your paper. Next, you must add plain water all over your paper except where the two koi fish are. We are adding plain water because we will later add paint on top of the water to conduct the wet onto wet technique. This technique allows your colors you're about to use to blend easily. Now you must simultaneously add the two blue colors to the water and making sure not to paint over the koi fish you outlined. So the koi fish must remain dry and blank. As said by Strathmore, it's important to lay down the right colors first and work towards darker colors. Or you lay down the light colors first. These two blues in the different darkness give the effect of water. Now you must let your paint dry completely. If we began painting the koi fish while the other paint was still damp, it would cause the red and blue to mix. Now that the blue is completely dry, it's time to paint the koi fish. Begin to carefully add water in the outlined koi fish. Next, you're going to add red paint into the water to create a flowy look of the fish. Now that you've finished, let your whole painting dry. So, congratulations, you have just created your first watercolor painting. I hope you learn how to paint with watercolor and the importance of the right materials you will need. As stated before, to paint with watercolors, you must decide what you're painting, prepare your materials, and finally to paint your picture. I hope this helps you understand watercolor better and maybe even try it yourself.